house. We have two guests today. I want to mention that July is our new fiscal year starting month. And then the county has recently hired a few new staff in the county executive office or in some newly created offices that we think would be a great resources for our business community. So today we invited them to introduce themselves to you.
No, you have to work. Yes.
If you can mute yourself, that'll be great. Thank you. Yes, we're going to introduce a few staff that are newly hired, and they will be a great resource for our business community. First, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Grace Deno. I'm one of the division chiefs in the Office of Procurement. My unit does the contract compliance programs that include local, small, minority business programs, as well as wage requirements law and prevailing wage law compliance enforcement. Our plan for our open houses, these are monthly events. They are on the third Wednesday of each month at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And our plan for this year is that our division will rotate with the other division, which is the Procurement Operations Division. We each take a role to introduce our programs and introduce our staff to our business community. And we'll take any questions or concerns or any comments, feedback from the business community. So this is kind of an open forum, and each time we'll have a different topic. So I'd like to introduce also Melissa Gardner. She is the Operations Division Chief. So next month, she will be hosting this event and introducing some of the procurement specialists to you guys. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker for today. This is Mr. Raphael Murphy. He is the Director of Office of Grants Management in Montgomery County. And this office is actually brand new. It's just created on July 1st of 2022, this month. So I'd like to have Raphael introduce himself and the office. And Raphael, would you like me to show the slides, or are you ready to show your slides on the screen?
If you don't mind showing them, that would help.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Let me do that. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So my name is Raphael Murphy, and I'm the new director of the Office of Grants Management. As Grace said, this office is fairly new. We're about 20 days old. And the goals of this office were really to build a grants mechanism for the county and also to better coordinate and run all the grants programs that the county has. So wait for the slide deck to come up. Okay. Next slide, please. So again, Bill 36-19 established this office, and it was signed last year. But the office took the legislation took 1 year to go into effect. So the Office of Grants Management was created starting on July 1st, 2022, with the beginning of the fiscal year 23. Fiscal 2023 approved budget, which funds the office for the first time, gave us funding for a director, which is my position, and then 2 program managers. One program manager will be focusing on distributing grants, and one will be focused on seeking outside grants, and then some operating expenses. And I'll go into these. You'll see how these ties into the office's purpose in a little bit. So in terms of the goals of OGM, we have 4 broad overlapping goals. The first one is to increase outside grant resources received by the county. So get more state and federal, maybe some private funding into the county to help out with our programs and projects. The second major goal is to oversee distribution of the grants that the county gives out. So whether that's more competitive grants processes or using a grants mechanism to be able to give money out as grants, those are the two key functions. So pulling more money in for the county and also giving money out from the county in a better way. As some of you who may have gotten grants know, the county has given out grants as procurement contracts, which haven't necessarily been a good fit in terms of how the money is used versus what its intention is. And so by having a grants mechanism, that'll improve the way that we work with some types of projects. And then the third goal is to integrate racial equity and social justice considerations into all of our grants management activities. So our office will be helping make sure that as we seek outside funding, as we kind of develop demonstration projects, as we look for outside resources, that racial equity and social justice really informs those searches and those applications. And then in terms of how we give money out, as we have grants competitions, that'll inform it as well. And then the fourth goal, which is in the legislation, is we have to provide council with detailed reports of what types of grants we're going at, what types of grants we've won, what types of grants we're giving out, what types of grants programs we've implemented. So those are the four main goals of OGM. So next slide, please. So to break these down a little bit more specifically, so again, increasing the outside grant funding. So we'll be helping departments search for outside resources from state, federal, or private sources. We'll be coordinating, helping county departments apply for these resources. And then we're going to be training county departments to be able to independently, apply for their own grants. So again, we can bring in more state and federal resources into the county. And then if there's ways that we can support our community partners, whether that's Montgomery College, whether that's some of our local nonprofits or businesses, as they apply for outside grants, we'll be coordinating that support. We'll also be looking at the distribution of grants from the county. So again, money coming in, money going out. We're going to develop and oversee a grant agreement funding mechanism. Again, giving money out as grants the way most other jurisdictions do. We're going to be coordinating community grants and other competitive grants programs that departments launch. We'll be training departments in how to do the grants programs, grants agreements and grants programs using best practices. And then we're going to be managing a central application platform. So going into the future, you're not going to see, different grants applications on different departments' websites. Everything's going to be posted in a single place. So you can check that more regularly and easily to see what grants are being made available by the county. Next slide, please. So given that we're a new office, a lot of these things that we're going to be doing are kind of a bit down the road. Right now, I'm a team of one. And so we're in the process of hiring people and setting up the office. I'm focusing on developing a grant agreement funding mechanism so we can start giving money out as grants sooner rather than later. I'm helping different departments launch their competitive grants programs through our platform. And then I'm helping certain departments apply for outside funding from state or federal sources. So the infrastructure bill is starting to come online and there's opportunities opening up that the county is a good fit for. So I'm helping departments apply for those. So kind of in the medium term projects that we're working on is reforming the community grants program, which some of you may be familiar with. And then we're going to be looking at developing some non-procurement solicitation mechanisms for grant funded programs. So just different ways to compete out grant funding that doesn't necessarily go through the Office of Procurement. So those are the short term. The short term ones are bolded, and the long term, medium to long term are there. But again, we're a new office. We're getting staffed up, and so we'll be working on these. And then the last slide, please. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. You have my phone number here, an email address, and then I've also included the website for the county grants application platform. So this is already up and running. If you've applied for a community grant or a cost sharing capital grant, it's the same website. We've just repackaged it. So this is, again, the place where you can go and check and see what grants are being offered by the county. In about 3 or 4 months, this will be the only place where grants will be offered by the county. So it's something you can check and see what's being offered on a regular basis instead of having to hunt around different county websites. So that's it, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much. Those are some very good information for a 20-day-old office. And this office apparently is long in need. Even us as a using department procurement, a lot of times we would really need help in terms of grants, application, distribution, things like that. So looking forward to working with you, Raphael. Do we have any question from the audience for Raphael? Yes, Barbara, please. You are muted.
I follow the rules.
Thank you.
Raphael, very nice to meet you. I have to say to this community, he was fabulous in talking about a month ago. So I applaud you and nice to meet you. Question in the transition. If a grant is coming that we know we were awarded July 1, where are we looking? And I know you're getting up and running, so there may be may take some time, but where should we be looking so we're doing what we should be doing as recipients?
If you were awarded a grant with the FY23 budget, on what we had hoped to do, and there just wasn't enough time to do, was we had hoped to get the money out the door as grants, but unfortunately that just wasn't possible because my office is too new. We weren't able to get that set up. So all of those, the FY23 awards are going to be given out as contracts. And so the departments should be working with you. I believe you got a capital grant. So Stuart Wistman in the Office of Department of General Services, he's coordinating those contracts. He's working through procurement to get those set up. There's a lot of contracts that get renewed every fiscal year. So it does.
It's
so
okay.
It takes a while.
I just didn't want something to fall into spam or something, not responsive.
So you can always see what in the budget publication, they show what grants have been given, and I can try to post some of those resources on our platform so you can see if you got one. But the departments should be reaching out with the contracts, with the framework to help you get that rolling. As we implement new grants programs, and I count at least 10 grant programs going forward. Traditionally in the county, we've had community grants and we've had cost sharing capital grants, and those were the only two grants programs folks could apply for, or at least nonprofits. Going forward, there's at least 10 programs, one of which is open right now for business improvement districts, which is more of a business development program. So those ones will be given out as grants because we'll have that legal agreement and how that works set up. So I hope that helps. But again,
we'll just stay tuned. That's all. But thank you.
So your current awards, those will be contracts, and the departments will be reaching out to you on those. And then feel free to reach out to me directly if you're not sure which department you should be working with.
Okay.
But then going forward, my office will be coordinating, a lot of the functions that procurement does right now, but for grants. And that'll be a little bit different. And that's been a point of confusion in the county, is that we have used the term contracts and grants interchangeably, whereas in most jurisdictions, and as we want to do going forward, contracts and grants are really very different legal mechanisms, very different funding mechanisms. So we want to be drawing a firmer line between those two different types of funding.
Thank you. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vera Fields.
Javier?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi. I tried to join. The only way I was able to join was through the audio, the phone.
Okay.
And is there any way that I can get a copy of the visuals that you were presenting? Can they be emailed? How can I get a copy of the information that was being presented?
Yes. So we have our slides posted. We will be posting our slides and the guest speakers' contact information on our website, where you found our open house link, which is on Procurement's website. And also, just for the audience to know that this meeting is recorded, and then once it's all compiled, we will also post the open house meetings on our website too. The videos are all on the home site of Procurement website. We'll put that in the link too.
I
see.
have no access to with the visual. Can you please give me the website address, because I got this information via an email.
Sure. The website is www.montgomerycountymd.gov/PRO. PRO as in procurement, first three letters.
You said /PRO?
/ yes. After the county's main website, then it's /PRO.
And the name of the office?
Our office is procurement, and Raphael's office is called Office of Grants Management.
Okay.
All right. I see a hands up. Rainier?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations, I guess, to Montgomery County for opening this new Office of Grants Management. And I had a quick question to Raphael, actually. So from the standpoint of whether you guys, your department is actually seeking help from contractors in the establishment of your office, I guess until you've hired all the necessary staff, or even maybe after, finishing your hiring process, if you would still be in need of contractors' help, whether in, writing, editing grants, or, processing grants, etc. Any, feedback that you can give me from that perspective?
I mean, at the present time, we're not. The two positions should be posted within a week or so. So that'll be an opportunity, whether it's one of the positions is very much, focused on grant seeking, grant writing, and training departments and grants. The other one is more just grants administration. So at present time, we're really just focused on getting the core functions of the office up and running. If we feel that we're still missing opportunities, or there's other functions that we need to add on, or just capacity to add, that's certainly something we'll look at. That's certainly something the county executive and county council members have asked me to consider, is if I need more, I should ask for more. But at the present time, we're just really focused on the basic core functions. But that could definitely be something we look to in the future, is if departments are coming to my office with too many opportunities that we can realistically handle, then we don't want to leave state and federal money on the table that the county could be getting. We want that flowing through us, and that money would flow through probably a lot of nonprofits and probably a lot of county businesses as well to actually implement. So, but that's something we'll be exploring. But I appreciate you bringing that up, and you might see solicitations for services in the future. But I would say at least in the next 6 months, probably not. We're just going to be focused on getting the core operations up and running.
Gotcha. Would it be at all beneficial for you, or for, I guess, if in the near future you would need, or beyond the 6 months that you're talking about, if I would email you my capability statement, or, would you just advise us to just hold off until we see any solicitations?
I mean, if you would like to reach out, feel free to reach out and just let me know. I've been having a lot of dialogues with a lot of community members, so I'm happy to add you to that conversation. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and we can maybe discuss the specifics.
That's wonderful. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I see a question in the chat. Would the grant seekers currently need to have an account with the CVRS system? For Raphael, the CVRS system is our central vendor registration system. So that's what procurement requires the vendors to register themselves so that when they have a contract with us, they will get properly paid. That is the system will feed into our Oracle backend payment system. So do you have a plan on that?
Or if you're seeking a grant, like if you're applying for a grant, you don't need to be registered in SVRS. However, as soon as you are awarded a grant, then you would definitely need to be in SVRS. It wouldn't hurt to register there anyways, just so that if you do win a grant, you'd be set to go. One thing I would also recommend, and this is a problem with a couple organizations every year, is that some organizations, and this is private businesses as well as nonprofits, they haven't been keeping their documents in order with SSTAT, which is the Maryland, I forget the acronym, but basically the Maryland business registration. So make sure that you're in good standing with the state of Maryland, because that's going to hold up contracts, and that could actually, preclude you from applying for grants as a private business or as a nonprofit. And that's another thing I want to emphasize. Grants are usually looked at as a nonprofit thing. Depending on the program, again, we do some economic development programs with grants. You might receive a grant as a private business as well. The FEG program went to private businesses. The hotel COVID relief funding grants are going to private businesses. So grants are not just a nonprofit thing. They could be for private businesses, depending on the program. But yeah, register in SVRS, especially if you'll need to get an award, and then make sure that your registration with the state of Maryland is in good standing, because that's going to create problems for you sooner or later.
Yeah, the STAT is the state's Department of Assessments and Taxation.
Thank you.
You need to be in good standing, either getting a grant from us or having a contract, signing a contract with the county. We procurement also look at your if you are in good standing in that site. Okay, I see a hands up from Bailey, Tracy Bailey.
Yes, I work in the local behavioral authority area for, HHS, Behavioral Health and Crisis Services, and we get a lot of grants from the BHA, Behavioral Health Authority, at the state level. I'm not sure if that means we still retain those or they now go through you. But my general question is, in the getting out of money that you say your group will ultimately be responsible for, many grants come with outcome responsibilities, with reporting requirements. Is that something your group does, or do you move that to the service area that will be receiving the grant money ultimately?
Well, in terms of the grants coming in, a lot of the focus of our office is, HHS has a well-established, great team of folks who bring in outside funding. Kathleen Sheedy does a good job of that in searching and finding opportunities. Our initial role is going to be focusing on departments who don't have HHS's economy of scale to be bringing in a lot of dollars. So we're not going to be messing with your guys' operations. We'll be supporting them in whatever way we can. In terms of the money going out the door, that is an excellent point. Compliance is going to be critical. And so making sure whatever grant we get from the federal government or state that has strings attached to it, that as we go down through the process and we start giving, that turns into awards to our partners, that those strings, carry through with those grant agreements. So what our role is going to be is when you go through, just the way the procurement monitors its regulations and policies, we're going to be focusing on compliance. So all grant agreements with outside partners are going to have to flow through my office. And what we're going to be focused on is making sure, if this is federal money or state money with, certain requirements on it, that as you sign that grant agreement with a nonprofit or a business to implement it, that they are also going to be complying with those requirements. But that ensuring compliance is going to be a big focus in my office. So that's again, like a lot of the the devil in the details that we're really focused on right now is we don't want to rush out and just start giving out money and then suddenly find out it doesn't meet our federal requirements. We need to set up these systems and processes to make sure that everything is good to go before that money flows out the door. Does that help?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I have another question from Montrese Johnson.
Yes, good morning. Hi, Raphael. We have exchanged email, but I am so happy and excited for this office. It's so long overdue. So let me just say that first. I'm very excited. One of the things I was wondering with the community grants, will there be some sort of standardization when it comes to letter grants, the amount of community grants, and what the requirements are, or versus the ones that are not letter grants, that has to have a contract, actually scope of services written. Will this office also kind of spearhead that effort with the departments as well?
Oh, yeah. So that's a medium-term project. If you see some of my initial council hearings, that was something council members were very concerned about, and they're very interested in is the reform of community grants and basically the overhaul of community grants. And for folks who are not familiar with it, community grants is this $8.7 million pool of funds that the county gives out to nonprofit organizations for operating costs roughly every year. The amount goes up and down. And so the way that program has worked has not been satisfactory to a lot of stakeholders, and there's been an interest in reform, but there really wasn't the administrative capacity or administrative leadership to really take that on. And my office fills that hole. So what I'll be doing over the next 6 months is coordinating discussions with departments, with council members, with nonprofit community about how we can reform that, because everyone feels that it could be working better, and I agree it could be working better. It's, again, the devils are going to be in the details, and we have to work those out. But part of your question, Montrese, also gets to what the grant agreement is going to look like. So things like a letter contract and all that, those are all procurement mechanisms. Once we shift over to grants, there's going to be somewhat equivalent mechanisms on grants. But that's something that we're going to be working on, is what are those going to look like? How is that going to be shaped? Making sure that, again, if there's compliance issues with other outside funding that we're getting, or even if council puts limitations on the funding, we have to respect what council puts in their appropriations as well. So that's all going to be these kind of details that we're going to have to work out over the next 6 months.
So I'm very excited, and just to trickle in because I have a fair amount of community grants, and I had so many concerns and questions like, why are certain things happening? So this is wonderful. I think the other thing is, I know maybe it's a HHS CMT where the monitoring piece comes in. I think in looking at the monitoring review forms, I think that goes hand in hand with some of the requirements that we're looking at, and I hope that we're gonna look at that as well, because I do feel that with certain amount of with a grants that are a certain amount, specific forms should be used, but then also looking at the questions that are on that form to ensure that it kind of correlates with if they absolutely need to. Like, for example, it has a grievance. Like, most community grants don't have a grievance policy, but on the review forms, that question is there. So things of that nature to maybe kind of look in and see how that correlates with back to the community grant as well.
I mean, that's all going to be on the table. And it's again, this is where, because we've done things as a procurement action, which again, it's been the only tool that we've been using, and it's not necessarily a good fit. That's going to be something when we do get into grants, it is more flexible. There's more risks related with grants, but at the same time, for these types of projects, the county should be able to be a little bit more risk tolerant. But if it's state or federal funding, that risk needs to be held back. We need to have accountability mechanisms in place. We need to make sure reporting is flowing from top to bottom, that everything is in alignment. So that will be that's going to be, it's a big workload ahead. So I'm looking forward to having a second person to be focusing on this. But Yeah,
Yeah,
and thank you.
Thank you. I have another hands up from Thomas Chong.
Yes. So my question is, if you have specialized expertise to help bring in a grant, how can we get involved? And I caveat that by saying, for example, the U.S. Health System strengthening grant right now, the total allocated is like 3.74, and then they're going to award about 116 grants. What we're experiencing is that some states, they'll go after it themselves, and then and this is at the state level, but it has similarities or relevance to the county level. So some states will go after it directly, while others, they have people like our team coming in and working with the Department of Health and Human Services to apply for the grant together, because in that way, we should be able to bring in more money, because some of the work, for example, necessary for COVID is work that our team has been doing already. So how do we, is it possible to get connected so that when we see a grant, we can work together with Montgomery County HHS, or is that like completely impossible?
I mean, I think it depends on the grant opportunity. It's because some of them ask for partnerships, some of them exclude it. Some of them only limit it to nonprofits, some of them limit it to, local agencies. And that's going to be part of the challenge, is that the answer is it all depends. It all depends on the grant. If there is an opportunity to apply for a grant that asks for those partnerships between the local nonprofit and the local agency, then that's something. I mean, be reaching out to your points of contact in HHS, because at the end of the day, my office is going to be providing a lot of capacity and technical expertise to search for grants, to identify which are the right ones, to help pull all the documentation together, get the right approvals and all that. But really, the subject matter expertise is going to be sitting with the departments. My team, I have a background in education, youth development, and youth programming, and so I can write some great grants on that with subject matter expertise. But any other subject matter expertise, I'm just not going to have it, and that's where we're going to be relying on the departments. Mm-hmm. So this seeking grants is very much going to be a partnership between my office and departments, and that's the only way it's going to be successful. So, I mean, if you see an opportunity that you want flagged or you're interested in, I mean, feel free to reach out to me, and I can find the right person within the department to kind of channel that to see if there's things. But to getting back to some of the earlier questions, sometimes we do see state or federal grants where the administrative burden is so high that it's really not even worth going after. We're going to spend more money just administering the grant, or the reporting requirements are so onerous or unrealistic that we just don't, the phrase is always, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's part of it, is if there is a grant out there, but we don't think it's a good fit, then we're just going to pass on it and maybe go. So it's all going to be part of the process. But I mean, if you see an opportunity, you're interested, feel free to flag it to me, and then I can try to find the right contact in HHS.
Absolutely, because we can bring the value proposition to a little more favorable area, because we and our partners, we have teams of proposal writers and teams ready to report any information there, so that it lowers the threshold for being able to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one thing just to add to this too is, I emphasize state and federal money because I don't think we're going to be necessarily going after a lot of private foundation funding, because usually private foundations prefer to work directly with the nonprofits who are going to be implementing it. But if we can support you, if we can provide letters, like if you're going after private foundation money and we can provide letters of support or things like that, let us know. That's also going to be a function of my office. Okay. Because again, we don't want to be competing for the same money that our nonprofit community is competing for, putting us against you. So that's going to be key going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one more question from the chat box, and then we'll move on to the next speaker. We want to make sure we have enough time for our second speaker. So one last question. I would like to know if there are also going to be unsolicited grants? And what may be the requirements for this?
As of right now, there's not a plan for unsolicited grants. The intent right now is to have all grants go through a competitive process. But a lot of those policies and kind of is being thought about and talked about now. So, I mean, I can raise that within the discussions we're having within the administration and the framework of it, of how the grants are going to work. But as of right now, we haven't been looking at unsolicited grants. It would be, everything would go through a competitive process. And if it doesn't go through competitive process, usually the only exception to that is because it's in the legislation. If the county council determines that a grant should go to a specific partner, the law says we have to do that. Or if a state or federal grant that we get says the money has to go to partners X, Y, and Z, we have to give the grants to partners X, Y, and Z. But doing unsolicited grants, that's not something we're really been looking at right now. If there is a policy or process for that, that's something that we'll post and be very transparent about.
Thank you. I have a question before we leave. Do you have a good idea on the annual basis how many grants the county as a whole is applying, and how much dollar value are we talking about here?
That's part of the reason for the creation of my office. And then the fourth goal with reporting is we don't really have a good number because there's no centralized office collecting all that information. So that's going to be that's actually in the legislations. I have to be reporting that because we don't have a good number on it. I think individual departments could tell you how much what they're applying for, and maybe even the total awards they've applied for. And you could run some finance reports and see how many grants we're receiving and to what value. But on the application side, there's really no good sense of it. And so that's going to be a big part of my office, is routing all grants through a single channel to be able to actually report on it and see what we're doing.
So maybe next year this time we'll have a better idea.
Exactly.
Sounds great.
Yeah, so we'll be developing some tracking systems for inside the government and to make that data easier to kind of go through. But it's, as of right now, again, because this office never existed, there was no one really there to collect it, or it was really difficult to collect it across county government.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Raphael. You provided a lot of very good information, and I have put Raphael's contact information in the chat. If you want to follow up, we can certainly facilitate that. And then we'll move on to our next speaker. She is Nadia Kalut. She is the new Small Business Navigator from the Office of Executive. And Nadia is relatively new, a little bit older than Raphael. Nadia, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Nadia Kalut. I am the new Small Business Navigator. So a couple quick things. I'm gonna put in the chat a link of the presentation that I'm doing, just so that you have it for your record. I know Grace is gonna send it and share it later on. And then I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so I can tell you guys a little bit what is my role and what I'm here, how I can help you as a small business owner. All right, can everybody see my screen? Yes, Grace, yes. Can you confirm? Perfect, thank you. So I am part of what it is called the Business Advancement Team. And within that department, we have what is called the Business Center. This department was established by Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich to be able to assist the small businesses. But as a matter of fact, all size businesses, from a start to businesses that are looking to move in the county, that are looking to grow in the county. We are here to help you navigate county government licensing, permitting, procurement, and other overall county processes and systems that interact with the small businesses. Our staff also will connect you with county partners that provide technical assistance and workforce assistance, promotion, funding, and other business resources. So this is kind of what our team looks like. We're part of the business advancement team, now called the Business Center. So with that being said, you have me here as the Nadia Clute, the Small Business Navigator. My role here is to be able to respond to small businesses who contact us waiting to learn how to access county services. At the same time, I also participate in programs such as this one today to let you know about the resources we offer through the county and our resource partners. You have Daniel Korama, who is one of our business liaisons. He currently works out of the Silver Spring. He will soon be joined by 2 other business liaisons who will help respond to requests for assistance from business owners, but also will be proactively reaching out to businesses throughout the county who might not know that we are here to assist you. We have Ruth Sample and Richard Cisneros, who oversee the county's 3 innovation centers. One is in Germantown, the other one is in Silver Spring, and the last one is in Rockville. These facilities offer a small office space or lab space that it is good for startups when you need flexible lease terms. Lastly, we have Stephanie Sawyer, who is our contract specialist, and like Daniel, Ruth, and Richard, she manages a couple of the grant programs that help us help you while working with community partners. There is also as part of this responsibility. For example, he's actually our lead coordinator and point of contact with the Latino Economic Development Center, which does a great job on supporting the small businesses. They not only serve Latino community, but they serve African American, Asian, and other. So please make sure that you reach out to them if you ever need any sort of business assistance. In addition, the RIS has had some handle some of our economic development programs, like the SBIR or the MOVE incentive program for technology development and startups and companies signing their first office space lease here in the county. The business advancement team reports to the Office of the County Executive, which is Mark Elridge, Jake Westman, who is the Assistant Chief Administrative Office. He oversees economic development and business advancement activities, and then I report directly to Judy Costello, and this entire team reports to Judy Costello, who is the Special Projects Management, who oversees business innovation and economic development. So here are some of the resource partners that we work with. We have Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, the Maryland Women Business Center, the Latino Economic Development Center, and the Maryland Small Business Development Center. All of these organizations are here to support your business at no cost to you. They offer one-on-one technical assistance. They offer online training. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of that. And lastly, you have my contact information here. You have my office number. We have a centralized email so that all inquiries as they come in, depending on location, depending on business need, and that's how we split it among our team. And you have our business website, which is the business resource, which to share with you, there are a lot of changes that are going to take place over the next couple of months. As I mentioned, our team is growing with 2 additional business liaisons, and our website is going to be revamped so that we can provide better resources, better guidance to you as the business owner. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions that you might all have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Nadia, although she's fairly new, we have worked together for in many different occasions, many different events. So sometimes if you reach out to me, I would refer you to reach out to Nadia for some extra resources too. Do I have any question from the audience for Nadia? Let me check if there's any question from the chat. Okay, I have a hands up from Christine. Go ahead, Christine. You are muted.
Hi, sorry. So I have a question. So I am starting a business in Montgomery County, and it seemed like there's a lot of resources, and I try to contact, but I get rerouted to different people and things like that. And so I'm trying to do a startup here, and if you could have any resources or contact person that I can ask like direct questions, that would be very helpful for me.
So that will be myself. I am here to help you navigate the county and the variety of resources that are available for your business. Look, I have clients that call me, they email me, we jump on a call, we jump on a Teams meeting. I take the time to understand your business so that I can provide you the best guidance and connect you with our resource partners.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nadia. Is there another question from the audience? So Nadia, I have a question for you. So what type of questions, like the most popular question you get from vendors?
So when small business owners have reached out to my office, I get questions as to, I am thinking about starting a business, but there is so much information out in the internet world. What can I, how can I help them? So I pretty much walk them through the process as to, well, you have the aspect of legally forming the business here in the state of Maryland. I put them in touch with a resource partners who can help them walk the step-by-step of the state registration with the business. I have had business owners who are maybe they are looking to open a storefront location and they are going through the licensing and permitting and they might be having additional issues on getting approval delays. That's where I also get involved. I have communication directly with the Department of Permitting, DHHS, to see what might be causing the delay, because that sometimes can cause business owner frustration and they are already dealing with a lot of stress itself. So I come to kind of bring the calmness, help figure out where is the disconnect, what is causing the delay, to kind of get things moving forward, because the biggest priority is for us to be able to support small businesses here in the county.
Great. Sounds like that's a lot of work for you. And you are the right person to keep calm and make sure that things are get done. I have another hands up from this guest is called Second. I don't know if that's your name or not. And you're muted.
I'm sorry, that's my second setup.
Okay.
But my question was, I'm a new business. I've been around for a year, and I'd like to get into contracting and subcontracting for Montgomery County. What would be step one?
So some of the things that I would recommend, it is to visit the procurement website, because they do have a lot of information, and they have been doing this type of presentation of educating small business owners. So that's number one. Number two, make sure that your business is set up on the central vendor registration system. Three, I want to make sure that that you understand that the Office of Procurement is just one agency overseeing procurement opportunities. We also have Montgomery College that have their own procurement system, MCPS that has their own procurement system, HOC that has their own procurement system. So while you're trying to get and work here with the county, just understand that some of these agencies might have their own systems, their own requirements, their own compliance. And lastly, as we have said previously, is during this series of procurement presentation is sometimes you're gonna get a no, and it is okay. That is an opportunity for you to learn as a business owner, to be able to look back at your proposal. You can contact the officer of procurement and they can give you a summary as to, hey, you know I didn't get the contract awarded. Can you guys give me a brief as to kind of what happened? Give me some feedback. Why? Because that is useful for you as a business owner to be able to improve for the next time. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your interest in doing business with Montgomery County. We welcome all vendors to participate in our solicitations. And we also have programs to help certified minority-owned business to become subcontractors on eligible contracts with us. So if you want to learn more, you can attend our following open houses, or you can contact me or Alvin Boss, who is the minority-owned business program specialist, who can help you finding the subcontracting opportunity. I will put our contact information in the chat box. Do I have more questions another question from the audience? Earlier, I saw another hands up. Okay, I see hands up. So Nadia's contact information, yes, we will also put it into the chat box. Earlier, I saw hands up from, I hope I'm reading this correctly, your name, Aureli Sodolo. Did you have a question for us?
Hey, I think that a couple people have asked those questions. I kind of more so have, started an LLC, but I'm also in that frame where I don't know what direction to head in. And also I'm in this space where I don't know what the county wants, right? So I'm also in that place where, like, do I talk to Nadia to see what resources are out there? Because sometimes you guys, there's many grants or there's many things that the county needs help with. Is she the right person to talk to be like, okay, this is what we're really looking for. We have tons of opportunities in this area and resources. Could I gear towards there? Because it's really an open field. I think it's more so finding out what the county really needs help with. Yeah, that's what I really wanted to ask. As far as the direction,
Yeah, so what I always recommend a small business owner is, look, reach out to me. I have been working with the small businesses for over 15 years. I have been here in the county during those 15 years. So generally speaking, when I meet with you, I provide a lot of resources that are available in the county. I also am more than happy to share with you other general business expertise, so that you can get the best of both worlds. So you're pretty much getting a business consultant / somebody who can help you navigate the county. I have met with some of you. I see a couple familiar faces here, where I met them through different networking events. Maybe they had reached out to me and they are like, okay, so now I educate them. I'm making sure that, hey, I want to make sure that you have your systems in place, that you have a proposal application or a proposal system that you can quickly execute proposal for bidding purposes, that you're fully familiarized with insurance requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think there is a right or wrong question when you business owners reach out to me. I'm just here to help and support small businesses. And I will tell you this, if there is something that I might not be sure about it, I will do the research. I will do the work to find out, hey, which agency do we truly got to figure it out? I will, I've been working with the small businesses, and I had one client who have been having a hard time getting in the system. And after a month and a little over a month, I was able to get a meeting with the proper agency that he needed. But that's because I was like right there hustling and pushing because we want to support the small businesses. So that's just a little showcase as to the work that I do. And I am also bilingual. So if there is any businesses that speak English and Spanish, so that has been helpful for some of our Latino community here in the county too.
Yes, I can tell you as an agency working with Nadia does not give up, and she's very persistent. We'll get the answer that she needs, at least from procurement. So, so I'm sure she does that to all other agencies too. Do I have any other question? Chat box. Bethany, could you put my contact information and Alvin Boss's contact information in the chat box, please? Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so that concludes our July open house. And as I said, next open house will be hosted by the other division of the Office of Procurement, the Operations Division, which contains all of our buyers or procurement specialists. We allocate our departments to different areas to our procurement specialists. There are 3 teams in the other division. Each team will cover an array of different departments and areas in the county. So you will definitely see more information from their presentation next month. And then we will come back in September for the compliance or some preference programs type of presentations. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you next month. Yes, for Raphael's PPT or Nadia's PowerPoint, we will put it on our website. If you go to our Montgomery County's homepage and then do /PRO, that's procurement's homepage. And on there, you will see the video, and that is the whole recording of today's events. Yeah, the contact information are in the chat as well as in the presentation slides. If you go back up in the chat box, you will see everybody's contact information. Thank you. Ike, I see the photo behind you. It's a picture of South China in Guilin.